Okay. So this week we're going to talk about confirmation of getting into a trade and early entries and how to determine if you have the risk to get in it or wait to hit the body or whatnot. Uh, yeah. So typically what I like to do is mark down the 1 hour imbalance and you can follow it because this big green candle was an imbalance when it closed up here. So then you can look for it to close down. Hopefully within the first 2 or 3 candles. If it doesn't, if you get a lower high into this, you got to be careful down here because you don't wanna get in if it has a lower high because the trend or the momentum might be changing for you to take that level out, keep going. Um, but usually I get in on the 1 hour or 30 minute, worst case 15 minute. Today I missed 3 or 4 trades today. Uh, and sometimes by a tick. I But hey, sometimes that's the way it goes. Uh, so then I drop down to the 30 minute and then I look for the same imbalance to see if I could narrow it down to be the safer bet. And then you can do zones. Once you get used to it and you can eyeball it, you'll be able to see these pretty clean and you won't need to do zones. You can do a line. Um, like I said last week, so I would say 25% of the time it'll hit the wick and go, but majority of the time it'll hit the body of the doji. And um, and what you want to see is the speed of it hitting, filling the imbalance and bouncing back up fast. If you don't see that fast and you see the price action glued to this zone, then it's probably going to come down into the zone and possibly break it. Um, so if you're in this trade here, if you got in right here, whatever you want to do, you could do the 50%. Some people do the 50% of the zone, so it'd be right in the middle, which aligns with this doji right here. Um, your stop, depending on what your stop could be. If you enter at the top, I would recommend the bottom of this doji, depending on how big, because this is 30 minutes and this is 73 to 11. That's 60 points right there. I don't think anybody that's $1,000 if you enter with one contract up here. So stop out. Um, and then drop down to the 15 minute. And sometimes if you drop down this far, um, you'll miss more trades, but at least you'll be more consistent and you'll catch bigger trades. Um, when you when you get in on the bigger time frame levels, like the 1 hour, it's gonna have a bigger bounce. But that being said, sometimes the bounce is 30 points up and then continue and then come back down and continue going. So sometimes it can be uh, a counter trend scalp. Um, that's when the trend is going down. You don't want to expect 100 points back up if it's in a downtrend. When it's in an uptrend and you're with it, then you should expect a bigger bounce. Do we have any questions? Any questions?
I got a quick question. So right
Yeah.
here, when you made your zone, you take the zone, you've got basically the entire candle, basically the entire candle before the big candle that creates the imbalance you have as a zone. Do you usually use the whole thing? Because I think I always made my zones just down to the bottom of the the big candle. But you have it, like I said, you have it a lot farther the tail of that previous.
Yeah, what I like to see is what I like when the most picture perfect is like this combo. See how See how this green candle right here opened up atop of this body,
Yep.
right? With no wick. That's perfect because that was the accepted price. This is where all the bulls rushed in. This is where all the bulls rushed in and squeezed out the shorts. Because the shorts, if you think about it, if we're zoomed in, it created a lower low right here, right? See how it's a low right here and then a lower low because
Sure.
it had filled that imbalance. This candle right here, this big red candle, created an imbalance and then rejected right there at the wick where it filled, where when it once it filled. Um, but then you got this doji right here, so that's a squeeze point. You got that doji, and then you got these dojis, and you should use the dojis as over under levels, and you can follow price action pretty good. When they hold above, they go up. When the price action or candle closes below that level or below these levels, it's most likely going to go down. It just changes the probability of the play. So if I'm getting in and I'm looking at this play, and sometimes I have fishing orders out, right? If I seen this imbalance, I'm expecting it to fill within the next two or three candles. If it doesn't, like once I see this big green candle, I have a fishing order out at the wick, right? But it keeps going, it keeps going. Okay, I'm gonna take my fishing order out because if we get a lower high, which we do, see how we got this lower high right here?
Yep.
Um, I'll take it off and I won't enter the trade until it hits my level. And right here would have been a good trade. You had a 50 SMA, you could use that. And this is where it's a triple, right? So you can use the triple no GP. And this is kind of what you would call a broken GP because of this candle right here in the middle. See, so you can play it, it plays down the pocket if depending on where you like to get in. But it would have played down here and you could have took it up. Uh, does anybody have any questions? More questions with Plus? You said you had a couple of questions.
Yeah, I already asked them earlier though. I think I can't remember what they were now. Like I said, the big one was when more when you get in on these, and I wasn't sure if you like I said, if you use them more for a target, the imbalance I'm talking about, use it as a target or as an entry. And
Yeah.
obviously in this example, we've been using it as an entry point, not an actual target.
And see, this is where with a 15 minute doesn't tell us right here. It'll be like, well, I'm getting in on the bottom and it didn't fill down here, right? It didn't fill down here, but you can drop down to the 5 minute and then it fills this imbalance right here. See how these little two candles?
Yeah,
There's a little candle and then a big candle with no wick, and then it fills it to right here. See right here where the wick is?
yeah,
It fills it and then pops up. And then look, it creates this imbalance on the way down. See this one?
yeah,
And then it's gonna come back and fill it. And it comes back and fills it. And then once it fills it, it slows down and then it decides what it wants to do. So if you take profit here and you want continuation up, you want these two candles, this pop up, any candles that close above this level, because that's where the imbalance was. So the imbalance comes and look, it creates a squeeze point right here. See, once it closes above there, look to your
yeah,
right, and it creates a squeeze point to where, and this is what the hard part is when it's all time highs. because you don't have nothing over here to tell you what level it's gonna go up to.
Are we actually all-time highs right now? I always look at, I'm usually, I know you do NQ. I'm always on ES. So on SPY, we're not.
I mean, is it all
We're,
time
we're darn
high?
close, but we're technically not. I don't know what NQ
But
is.
we're up here. Look, if you look at the longer, right?
Yeah.
It might not. 'Cause this one only goes 30 days back. But anyways, we're near the zone, near up here. Is this all time highs? No, huh?
So in a
I
second.
don't think not. I don't think so.
It
I think we're
is
close, but
actually, as of this moment, this second, we're at all-time highs. It literally just passed it.
oh, it pumped up.
I'm
Oh,
looking at QQQ, by the way. I'm on the QQQ chart. It today, well, today it did go into all-time highs. And actually, no, I'm lying. It did go into all-time highs today, just
At
barely.
11?
But it is now not at all-time highs. It's back within the previous all-time. It's inside the previous all-time high candle currently, as of the second. But it
Yeah, let
had
me
gone
see.
up to,
what time frame is this chart? Is this the
60
hour?
minute, it's an hour.
Oh, okay. So you've got the hour imbalances and you got the no tag GPs and the no wick candles. Which of those are your favorite? What's your priority order?
Probably the imbalance first, but the candles with the smaller wick or no wick are probably the best. Those will be the cleanest plays. Like even this one, right? Look at the doji here,
Yeah.
and it probably just fucking misses it by 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 a hair. Oh, just barely. But yeah, like this is all right, just because it's a big candle right next to it. Just think about it. Look at this one. It wicks right into it. But where does it go? To the doji, right? Look at to the doji right
Yeah.
here. This is technically the imbalance, right? And then you come to see these, and then you start to see, well, you see these two candles, and you say, well, that's an imbalance fill, but then there's no price action here. That's what kind of opened my eyes to, okay, the imbalance is all the way here too sometimes. But technically it's here because there's overlap here, right? And there's no overlap here for sure. But like I say, dojis, Brandon has always said dojis are important. That's like besides gaps, dojis are probably the second most important. And now I know what he means, um, or why they're so important because price action will just flow with the dojis. If you follow the dojis in the imbalance, you will flow with the market.
Yeah.
Um, so if you have them all three lined up, even better,
Okay.
right? Because you have this doji with this imbalance, and what do I say? Once two candles close above this imbalance, use that as a support. So if you were to put a line right here, because that imbalance filled, and then you got this, and then this happens, right? You close it above there, you're expecting for this to be strong support.
Okay.
So now when you're saying early entry, right? Am I gonna get in early or am I gonna get in when the imbalance fills? Because once the imbalance fills, that's when the market can make a decision on where it wants to go. Um, so this imbalance fills right here, and then it breaks above. Once it fills, you're just paying attention to this candle to see if it closes above the imbalance, or if it stays below it, or if it rejects it. One of the big indicators to me is if the candle stays glued to the price action or to that level and it didn't reject it, it didn't have speed, but So what you'll see is this candle going up kind of fast, and then it'll just slow down right here. Once the imbalance fills on the lower time frames, the candles will get smaller, kind of like right here.
Okay.
They'll get
Yeah.
smaller, and then they'll just stay there. So what, if you're in long from down here to go up, then I would take profit. And if you got a multiple accounts, let one ride. And then I would put your stop somewhere, a profit stop here. If it comes down, if it gets a lower high, you would want to think about getting out and possibly getting back in. You know what I'm saying? So like that,
Yeah.
you don't want to go red. And what you do is you use these over unders, these dojis as over under levels. So if you
Yeah. You
get in
definitely.
here, if you get in here and then it pops back up, you want to see this green candle close above here. If it doesn't, then you might want to think about profit stopping and then wait for another level to hit. Because this is a bigger time frame, and that only tells you the story, but the longer trend, but the shorter time frames show you what's going on in that 1 hour time frame. Uh, any questions about early confirmation? Everybody had problems getting in too early, uh, or waiting for the conf confirmation candle to get in.
I'd
Uh,
say my big on the first trade. I'd say my biggest problem is actually re-entering too soon. So like what you said there, if you have multiple accounts, let one ride. I think that's great. Right. I've got like, if you imagine this is the 5 minute, right? And then you got like I don't know, that hump right in the middle. Oh, you're gonna
right
put it on
here.
5 minute. That's cool. I mean, either way, um yeah, like okay, for example, actually, yeah, I just had this trade today. I can't share screen right now. I'm actually picking someone up, but so I actually rode to the top, yeah, around 8:39. I had an out at like 680. Um,
8:30
yeah,
your
so
time or my time
your time actually. I'm looking at, yeah, on that chart, yeah. Uh, got
here?
up towards the high there. Yeah, I don't remember where exactly I closed. It was some stuff. I was long from I don't know, 450 or something. Right. And so I closed all that, right? And then re-entered actually on like that first large red candle that got eaten up by that green one.
This
Yeah,
one?
that one. And that one yeah, that one right there. And that one I was struggling with, right? Because it kind of broke structure a little bit. It was kind of crappy structure, right? Because real structure, I guess, is at those two red bull
Yep.
hammers like 10 candles back.
Yep.
But this wick on that green, on that high green candle, that the one that wicks off your 10 SMA, that's
Yep.
kind of like crappy structure, I would think about it. And then that broke that structure there.
This one?
Um, yeah, that big red candle right in the middle right
Yeah,
there
right here.
broke. Yeah, and then
Broke this
that's another little micro lower low. Yeah, and then well then the one about four candles before that.
over here.
Um, yeah, so I was looking at that wick on the big green there.
Over here.
Just two before. One, two, three actually.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so that wick, and then that red can, the big red candle four in front of that broke that wick. So I was considering that some sort of like, um,
Bullish.
I mean, the whole thing was bullish, but it breaking that I think was kind of short term bearish. But then yeah, entered too early, didn't wait for really it to come down, and once it filled that 5 minute imbalance that you were
Yep.
pointing out here,
Yeah, right here.
uh, yep,
And that's why I was telling you not to be bullish because not until this fills.
yep,
And then it'll decide. And look what happened. It slows down. Look at, because there's three imbalances. There's technically one here, and this is where like the triple GP comes into play, where you can go here to here. See, but it's taking out one at a time. So look at it takes the top one out, and then it slows down, slows down. It's curly and curly, and then it's gonna take this bottom, the middle one out, and then look at it slows down again, right at the middle one, and then it slows down a third time at the bottom, the triple no GP. Because if we come down
Yeah.
here, let me make this bigger. Hold on. Oh shit, too big. Gosh, dang. Uh, funky guys. See here. So see how the GP right here, from the green to the yellow,
Yes.
stacks up with the imbalance.
Yes.
And
Yep.
that's what I love to see when I get the triple no GP. If it's coming down here, if it's slowing down on these three, I'm kind of cautious until the imbalance fills. Because technically it hits a GP, the third no GP, and then it'll make a decision. And then not only that, but it was a falling wedge, or falling, whatever you call this. But I call them falling wedges. And we call this like 30 minutes before it happened.
Yep. Yeah, you did.
And I told you not to be bullish until the imbalance fills, but then you can walk it down. Because see this big red candle created an imbalance, right? Fill this and then it popped. See, it filled the middle GP, it hit the middle GP, and then it had a nice pop. So where are you expecting it for it to pop? If you're reading it on the 5 minute, right? You're going to follow the imbalance. So you're gonna go up, and then you're gonna look for a lower high off of this body right here. Why? Because it has no wick. See, it went to the wick. It went to the wick. If you want the safest trade, put it at the top of the no wick candle right here. Put it right there. That's the safest trade, but you're gonna miss more trades more often than not. That's why
Right.
I get it. That's why I get in here. And sometimes I have tight stops when the volatility is super high, where the big candles, a 100 point candle can happen in less than a minute. Um,
Right.
I'll have a tight stop. So when it's really super high volatility, I might enter at the body of the. I put a fishing order out right here, and my stop is right here at the break above there.
Do you use
Eh,
hard stops nowadays?
no, 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 no,
Still no.
not really, unless it's really high volatility, or if data's coming out, then for sure I'll just put a stop.
But you use hard profit stops sometimes, right?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because once it goes up 250, my profit stops at 150. If it goes up to 500, then my profit stop might be at 300 or 200, or I mean
And how many
250.
cons? Is that like
That
one?
that depends.
One.
That's with one contract. If it hits 500, right? If it hits 1,000 with two contracts, then I'll take profit.
Okay, so just over 10 points, you're gonna lock in like 6 points. You're gonna put it, you pretty much want it to blast past 10 and go into 25.
I like the speed. If I don't get speed, I feel kind of cautious or worried that it's gonna go in the other direction. You want to
Yeah,
see
I
that
got, I,
speed hit and pop up.
yeah,
Like
absolutely. The best
like this
trades
one.
work like that.
And the best, those trades will happen on the 1 hour or 30 minute levels. Those trades will happen on those levels where it'll literally hit the body or the GP or the imbalance of the 1 hour or 30 minute, and they will pop big. And that's not saying uh, that it's gonna change directions and V reversal, right?
Right.
But look at like right here. The first time it tagged this GP or this imbalance or this fair value gap, whatever you call it had no wick and it bounced pretty high because it had no wick up here. So this candle right here was imbalance on the top and the bottom. So when you get one with no wicks
Yeah.
on the top on the bottom, then you know that it's probably gonna create a lower high to come back and fill it. And I always say it should fill it within 3 candles. You don't want to see a lower high going into your level.
Okay.
What was that? Um, yeah,
I was saying that
and
makes sense.
and and then when it stacks up like this, whatever strategy you're using, um, if you wanted a safer entry, you would have got it at the 50 SMA, but you probably would have missed it. But what you gotta ask
Yeah.
yourself, this is what you gotta do, okay? If you're using multiple strategies, okay, so you got a GP here, you got an imbalance, and you got a 50 SMA. If you're an SMA player, you gotta ask yourself, am I getting in early? If I get in here at this thing and I'm willing to risk it here to the 50 SMA, is it $100 from here to here, right? And what's your typical stop? Your stop should be below this candle right here,
Yeah.
which is right here. Okay. So if my stop is usually at this line right here, how much is it
That,
from there? 30. It's like 21 points. That's like $420,
right.
right? So if I get in here at the imbalance fill at the GP, that is 35. So that'd be $500. What's your typical stop? Is it $500 or is it 250 or is it 300? Whatever it is. So then you ask yourself, okay, the safest bet I can do is I can tolerate the stop from the 50 SMA. If it doesn't hit it, I'm not getting in. Don't even mess with those emotions of, well, it fits this strategy because then you're strategy hopping and then you're gonna get confused later on. So once you jump in and choose a strategy, stick to that play. Don't and let it play out. Whether you have hard stops in or if you have mental stop or a hard open close where the candle opens, one closes below your level and the next one opens below your level. There's that strategy. Um, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that all makes sense. And and where you'd put that stop, is that something specific with the imbalances, or is that just based on the structure there?
Well, it's based on two things. The guy JFX is all credit to him for teaching me this imbalance stuff. Is um he just always he with the imbalance candle that he draws out, he puts his stop right here. Like he
Okay.
just puts a hard stop. Me, I'm combining that with this doji right here. I always use
Yeah.
dojis as over under level, right? So that's another way that I sometimes I save myself from fully stopping out. So if I say this is $500 over here, right? I have a hard stop in right here at $500. But these candles, there's a candle that opens and closes, or let me go back. That closes right there. The next candle right here that opens, if it opens outside the body of this one, I'm getting the fuck out. I'll save $150 stop, I'll get out at negative 350 and then I'll reassess. Because I'm always using dojis as my over under level. But if this was 250, If this was like the 1 minute or whatever, and this was 250,
Okay.
uh, then I would get out. I would save a little bit of stop. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Makes sense.
and sometimes, like I said, if I don't get the speed off the bounce, I mean off the fill, then I'm probably getting out. Profit stop, reassess, or yeah, I kind of like to look at the lower time frame to see if there's another imbalance because that'll tell me if there's something that is going to be like right here. It looks like there's no imbalance, but if you drop down to the 1 minute, there'll be an imbalance somewhere. That one failed. Not really. Everything is efficient. Uh, Give me a sec. I gotta. Yeah, so these are the trades that I missed today. Just because I put them at the body. Um, Let me see. And this is why I don't like to see lower highs coming into my level. See how I took it off right after that? I took my fishing order out right after that. 'Cause I had it right here. This is the lower time frame. The other one was the 15 minute oh, there's a question. Hold on. Um, my order was right here. That's where the was on the 15-minute chart. Um, and this was the perfect example of why I don't like to see a lower high. See it shiny right here with this candle. And even if you would have caught that bounce, that would have been 25 bucks. I mean, 25 points. But there was no imbalance going down into it. It was just going to fill that. Worst case, it would have filled down here. There's a small imbalance or fair value gap or no GP right there. And look at where it hits right there. Fill that GP. Fills it and then bounces. Um, but yeah, this is one of the reasons why I take off a fishing order if it doesn't fill in the first three candles, I'm taking it off because it's gonna smash right through it. Let me see.
So wait, say it again. So if it doesn't fill within the first three candles, which were the what candles? Sounds like a dumb question, but what are the first three candles? Like on that last example,
Yeah, yeah. These three right here.
that's starting with that green and going with the
No,
two
these
reds.
ones.
Okay, those three.
Once it
Okay,
starts coming down.
one starts coming down. Okay.
Yeah, once it starts coming down. Um, like usually sometimes I'm testing out this new theory is once it breaks this can let me change the color of this. Fuck.
But that's got to vary on time frames too, because like if you're on the hour
Definitely,
time
yeah.
frame,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah.
expect it to come down in three, the candles may.
I sometimes it does. Sometimes it'll do it in one candle. And those are even better because the
Hmm.
bounce will be that much better. The bounce will be that much better on the if it comes down within one candle. Like if it was this one coming down, if it was this one coming down right here and filled it, you probably would have got a bigger bounce.
Right. Okay.
and it probably would have continued up. But the longer it takes to fill, then the weaker it is. And that's why I take my fishing orders off because and then I'll wait. I'll wait, and then if there's a doji or if there's no doji, then I'll jump down to the shorter time frames to look for a doji that'll give me an over under level. And then I get in usually on the first tag, unless unless it has that other criteria where it has a lower high or it doesn't or it doesn't fill within the first three candles. I'll take it off. So as a new trader, would I recommend fishing orders? No, I wouldn't recommend fishing orders. I want you guys to look for how it hits the level so you guys get used to it. Because if I tell you, yeah, put a fishing order out every time it looks like this, and then you keep getting burned, you're not going to trust the system. And you need to be able to, okay, here's this criteria. If I get a lower high into my level, I'm not getting it. I take my fishing order off and I look for it to get hit. And that all comes with screen time. You'll come to see the speed, see the candle develop, hitting your level, slowing down, or rejecting fast, or jerking up and down, whatever, breaking your level, coming back above your level. The one that sucks the most is the one that breaks your level, stops you out, and then comes back, closes above your level, and then squeezes and then hits your target. But we want to react to how it hits. And you guys will develop your own screen experience and be able to have your own style.
Yeah, I feel like I have to use fishing orders because if I don't, I just feel like I'm chasing. Like if it came
Oh,
down,
you're
it
hesitate?
yeah, because you hesitate right there. Because if I'm trying to like figure it out in my head, like okay, is it going to stay at that level? So it comes down, hits it, bounces, and then maybe it'll bounce at 10, 20 points. And then now I'm getting in. Well, great, I just missed that 10, 20 points. All right, I'm
Yeah.
already getting in high basically, and then I get crushed. And, I'm not, and to be honest, I don't really. This isn't a strategy I use right now. These imbalances, I need to work that in. But just in general, in any of my plays, if I don't use it, I find if I my fishing orders are all the best entries. And whenever I don't use a fishing order, I'm just chasing and I get burnt a
Mm.
lot.
But you're on MES, right? Or ES?
Yeah. I have tried to go to NQ, man. I'm just so used to ES. So
Then
used to it. I'm like,
stay on it. Stay on it.
well, I got to put the screen time in for the NQ to get used to it. That's all I got to do. But I just like every time I go to do it, I'm like, no, I'll go back to ES. I don't know. I got to
eh,
commit to it one of these days.
Once you go NQ, you'll never go back to ES.
Yeah, no, that's what they say, but I just gotta get over that hump.
Yeah, it's scary though because it moves a lot faster, and that's another thing you need to get used to is the speed of NQ. Because
Well, the
yeah,
thing is, you don't
it's
even know it's moving faster. If you're just watching the charts, this is what I found anyways. Other people might be different. But if you're just watching charts, it looks all the same. But the second you enter, you realize, oh shit, this is moving a lot faster because it starts seeing that P&L like move much quicker.
yeah, the
Oh,
candles look
fuck.
the same, but they're like 100-point candles.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and that's the scary part is being on NQ and getting one of those big candles. So if you're new to futures trading, go on micros. That'll get you used to the price action.
Oh,
The
definitely.
candles will be looking a little different just because there's more volume in the minis. The something that looks like a doji on the micros is not a doji on the minis, and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I started out with the micros, And for a while, I had a trade after I jumped to the minis. I had a trade off the MES because I was used to how the dojis look there because they got more dojis.
So you
Then
trade ES off the MES chart.
yeah, I used to, not no more.
Yeah.
And that's just screen time getting used to whatever chart you're seeing. So if you got a new ticker, a new stock or whatever, then you wanna learn all the characteristics of that of that ticker. That's why I'm used to NQ. I haven't I use when I trade, sometimes I trade on ES and most of the time it shies the body or it shies the wick. But you should be able to use it the same way. Uh, Anybody want to share a trade or show more of the ones that I missed?
Somebody asked in chat, I think he jumped off the stream though. He asked in chat the difference between a fair value gap and an imbalance. I don't know if you want to answer that because it's being recorded, so then if he watches it later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the way that I interpret it as,
They're pretty close, the same thing.
yeah, um, okay, so for an imbalance, you usually do the way that I learned it is wherever there's a small candle next to a big candle, and the imbalance is all the way to this candle right here. So you would mark off. Oops, that's the wrong thing. You would mark off that bottom candle right there. You would mark off that candle, right? And the imbalance fill is once it hits this zone. That's called the imbalance fill. That's what that's how he explains it. And I just from my experience trading this type of imbalance fill is about 25-30% of the time it'll come hit the wick and run back up. Um, or 80% to 75% of the time it comes down, hits this body, and then goes up. But that's the imbalance because there's no price action right here at all. So the imbalance is filled once it hits down here, this level down here. Once it hits this level right here. So that's filled right here. Boom. Right. And the reason why I like that is because when you get a candle with no wick right here, that means that that was the accepted price. Usually that's why I mainly use the body of the doji. I usually use the body of the doji, especially when it's a candle with no wick like this. Most of the time, that's the safest entry to get in the trade is either when the imbalance fills here or right here. That's the safest entry. Some people play it safer and they'll put 50% of this zone. Uh, and the way that he plays that is a stop. So you enter 50%, the body, the wick, anywhere right here, anywhere between here and here. And then your stop is right here, right? Where a fair value gap Oops. Is right here. It's from this wick. It takes 3 candles. It's from this wick to this wick right here. That's a fair value gap. And the way that is played is usually they get in right here at the top of the fair value gap test, or they get in the 50% here, and their stop is right here. So it's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same concept because technically there's another fair value gap over here too from this wick right here to this wick. So a fair value gap is anything right there. And as you can see, even if there's this fair value gap, if you combine fair value gap with imbalance, you can figure out where price action is gonna magnet to. Even if you had the fib strategy as well. There you go there. Boom. So 50% right here, that's the GP. Oh no, that's the wrong one. There we go. So right here, you got the GP, you got a fair value gap, you got another fair value gap, and you got an imbalance. And you got moving averages. You had imbalance, fair value gap, moving average, fib, 3 strategies there. 3 strategies there that said that it was going up. You got this big candle. You see 3 huge candles like that. You should you should be looking for for uh for continuation. Especially we had shift the structure. We had a break of structure here. This broke that, it broke that, and it broke way over here too. This was a bigger structure. Once it breaks big structure like this, it closes above right here. Any candle closes above, look for that pullback. Whatever strategy you're using, moving average, fair value gap, imbalance, whatever it is. Because now you got catalyst, right? You want to stack catalyst. So look, we went down here, RSI. We're bearish, so you don't want to get in. You want to get in, you want to get in short because we're on the bearish side down here. We're on the bearish side on MACD. And then we got imbalance right here. All this imbalance right here. So, and then we got a lower high. So this, boom, creates a lower high off of there. See the no wick? Candles with no wicks are magnets. Comes here, creates a lower high. You could have got in short right here at the body of the doji because of this no candle, no wick candle. You would have risked your stop right here. I don't know. It depends because it's 15-minute. That can be 68. Yeah, it's almost 50 points right there. That's $1,000. So you would jump down to the 5-minute and then check it out. Let's check it out. Oh, I lost track. At the beginning of the fib. 1 a.m. Whoever's up, whoever's a night owl at 1 a.m. Right here. You got that imbalance right there. Oh no. Wait, 1 a.m. Where is it at? Right here. 2:30. and 230 right here. That's kind of risky getting in. But you got that drop, then you got this imbalance right here. You probably would have missed that trade. Yeah. So back over here. Once it breaks above here, you should be looking for a shift, right? And you start seeing the shift right here because we go over to the bullish side, and then it breaks above. We're on the bullish side everywhere. MACD's bullish, RSI's bullish. We got volume right here. We got volume beats. And then you look for the pullback. Remember, hit your level, then you react and get in. You don't want to risk. Um, once this comes over hot, you got to look for expecting for a reset. And when it resets, meaning that it goes all the way from the top to the bottom, if you see that, you want to see a higher low. And if you're chasing it down, you're like, okay, where can I get a higher low? We could get a higher low off this fair value gap. We could get a higher low off the GP right here. We could get this fair value gap on the longer time frame, so the 5 minute. Or we could have an imbalance fill here, create a higher low, or the moving average, create a higher low off of there. Those are three places you should be expecting to see a higher low. You see a higher low, and you see this reset, you should be probably, and this is still bullish, on the bullish side, and get in to go up. Well, we got about 10 more minutes. If anybody wants to share or have any questions, hopefully that answered Chris's question or RJ, fair value gap. Um, they all work. I don't hate on any of them. It's just whatever helps you see the chart the best. And like as you guys seen right here, when they all stacked up, there was three strategies right here: fair value gap, moving average, fib, and imbalance. You gotta fucking take the trade. But the cool thing is, so you get this imbalance to fill, right? And then what you're gonna be like, what are you gonna target? Right? You have no targets. If you're using the moving average, you could probably target a 10 SMA or whatever. What I usually like to target is imbalances that were created on the way down. So you get this, and then I don't like to see chop coming down. So like I said earlier, if I get a lower high, which this is, into my level, I'll take my fishing order off. Doesn't mean I won't get in the trade, but I'll take it off and then wait for that level to hit. Once it hits, then I'm looking to get in, right? Things that are looking bullish for me to get in is, okay, look at this candle right here. See how I opened up outside of it? Outside of this candle? That's strong. It broke back above this candle, and then so right away with this candle right here, I'm looking for this imbalance to fill. There we go. I'm looking for this imbalance to fill right here. So when I'm looking at price action for it to fill, it'll fill that, and then look what happens. It slows down. It even comes back and rejects, and then comes back and closes. So then that's strong, right? I get a hammer. So then that's strong, and now I'm gonna look for this over here to fill. It's a small little imbalance, but then I'm looking for that to fill, and then it'll make a decision. So that's what I would target. If I were to get in along here, I would profit take here, let one ride for a potential higher low to keep going up. And then what happens if you take profit and then let one ride? to whatever level. And usually what I'm looking for is higher time frame levels. And my chart doesn't go back that far. But if I don't have nothing, if I don't have no targets, a moving average, a fib level, or whatever the case is, then I'm looking for imbalance. If there's no imbalance, this thing can keep going forever. Not that'll probably remember it goes up like an elevator, stair steps down. Stair steps up, comes down like an elevator. Uh, any other questions? I'm about losing my voice. Boom, boom, boom. So something you guys can do is take a look at the 1 minute because this doesn't. You're like, okay, that's support. Okay, what's going on right there? Let's jump to the 5 minute. Oh, there's a doji right there, and it filled this imbalance right here. So see the ones with no wicks? Those are strong levels right there. Look at that is just holding right there. Holding. And just follow it. What time is it? It's about to close, huh? Oh, in another hour. Well, if nobody has anything to share or any questions, we'll end it there.
Were you able to review that I told my I'm like the fair value gap indicator I had to see if that worked on your charts?
Oh, I haven't had a chance. I'll take a look. I'll install it on this over the weekend and I'll test it out on Sunday.
Yeah, because
Uh,
it might be beneficial for some people who can't picture the fair value gaps. They could
yeah,
use that.
yeah, I'll put it up on the chart.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, let me know. Then I can
Yeah,
redo it because I have I updated it to show consequential encroachment, where it shows the midpoint
yep.
and tag it and all that fun stuff.
Uh, what's where is it at?